Please look into the light. This is for your own good.
Hey guys, what is going on? Chris here with Shughead Gaming, bringing you my review for A Chair in a Room, Greenwater, developed by Wolf & Wood Interactive, and while this was currently available on HTC Vive and Oculus Rift, it releases for PSVR this April 23rd, 2019 for an estimated price of $20. Of course, that depends on your region. As usual, this was reviewed on the PS4 Pro. Explore your surroundings as the protagonist of your own horror story as you immerse yourself in this tense VR thriller set in America's Deep South. Navigate your way through your memories, piecing together the clues and puzzles to solve the mystery of how you have awoken in the sinister Greenwater. This escape room of sorts was highly reviewed when it debuted on PCVR almost 3 years ago, but is it still as potent an experience now on PSVR? Let's find out. As always guys, if you like this video, please hit that like button, and if you'd like to see more PSVR content from me, please consider subscribing, and for video updates, hit that bell icon. And remember, if you want more PSVR news and info, check Shughead Gaming out on Twitter and Facebook. Let's kick things off with a look at graphics. Often described as an escape room experience, I went into A Chair in a Room expecting to be in a room with a chair. And while yes, that's how things started off, things quickly took a turn for the weird as the game has us jumping in and out of different locations in the form of memories. Graphics here across all locations are grounded, detailed, and very sharp, giving each location a real-world feel and authenticity. In fact, even with this game having gotten a facelift from its original incarnation, it's actually pretty impressive what Wolf & Wood have brought to the PSVR. This is a story where the details are important. Thankfully, this same philosophy has been carried over to the visuals, as almost everything can be picked up and examined and crafted with enough detail and visual finesse to make objects actually feel real. Top this off with some very nice use of lighting and shadow effects, and A Chair in the Room often feels like a superior version of what we saw in the Exorcist Legion chapters. Sound is up next.
The body of an unidentified
Dr. Green has been called away to another part of the hospital. Please wait in here and do not touch anything. We'll be just outside.
Often on par with its visuals, A Chair in a Room, Greenwater brings the same care and detail it showed on the visual side of things here on the audio side. Every location you find yourself in brings with it a feeling of authenticity, but with a purpose. What I mean by this is that many areas you find yourself in are presented as hyper-real, with certain sounds at times being very prominent in the sound mix and at other times completely absent. I actually really enjoyed this intentional use of sound design, as it often helped when solving puzzles, as well as being very effective for creating a certain feeling to a level, whether that be one of melancholy, confusion, or at times, terror. Voice work here is also thankfully first-rate. Smaller indie titles are often not known for having great voice acting, but since much of the effectiveness and potency of A Chair in a Room's narrative is sold through its voice acting, it's especially welcomed here. Similarly, music is also on point and extremely effective at working with the visuals and other parts of the sound mix to create a complete audio-visual narrative. In fact, the only real complaint I have here is the lack of a proper 3D audio mix. Considering all the other wins here, it's not the end of the world, but had it been presented, it would have added that extra layer of immersion. And that brings us to gameplay. So honestly, I really wouldn't describe A Chair in a Room as an escape room at all. The room in question here is actually a little more than a hub for which you will jump off into the game's 6 chapters. In fact, A Chair in a Room, Greenwater is best described as a murder mystery told through first-person interactive dream sequences and puzzle solving. Each chapter you jump into is unique and often comprised of a few different rooms. Puzzle solving here is what I would call easy to moderate, as most of the puzzles can often be solved by simply exploring the environment, looking what you have, and partaking in some trial and error. Thankfully, movement is handled admirably here, well, at least as well as you can with Move controllers, offering the options of teleporting and click turning as well as full locomotion and smooth turning. In a nice addition, Wolf and Wood have also thankfully added a walk backwards button to the left Move, making walking up to and away from objects so much easier than so many other titles we have played. Move tracking is also on point, and while hit detection and handling of objects wasn't perfect, it is handled far better than most titles. That being said, while I had zero issues during my playthrough, I have already heard of a few people managing to lose key items in parts of the environment and having to restart the level, so just be aware. So now you know it's a puzzle-based murder mystery, but you may or may not know going into this game is that it also brings with it some horror elements. And yep, it had me jumping on more than a few occasions. It's not a horror game per se, but do expect some goosebump moments during your playthrough. And speaking of playthrough, expect the campaign to take about 3 hours to complete at a normal pace, and 90 minutes if you take the easy way out and use the in-game hint option. Always a welcomed addition for puzzle tards like myself. And finally, that brings us to Fun Factor and my final review. A Chair in a Room Greenwater was an interesting puzzle game that unfortunately never really grabbed me with its story. That's not to say it's a bad story by any means or not compelling, but it simply never really did anything for me. That being said, its creep factor and level of immersion it created was fantastic VR and should still be very much applauded. As you know, I hate number rating scales and instead rate games on a basis of buy, wait for a sale, or burn it to the ground. At $25, A Chair in a Room is probably worth a buy if you enjoy puzzle games and a little psychological horror in your murder mystery. Nothing of these things are my cup of tea, so despite this being very well made VR, if you align yourself more with my tastes, then I suggest waiting for a sale, as this one and done 3-hour campaign might leave you feeling a little bit wanting at the end. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you'd like to see more PSVR content from me, please consider subscribing. And for video updates, hit that bell icon. I'll catch you guys on my next video.